one of his, I think, most important pieces of advice, which I still follow today, is do writing first.
The email that you're getting right now that's demanding your time is very urgent, but it's probably not very important. What's important is doing your writing.
And then you can do the other stuff. You can grade papers, you can do your meetings, but make sure that you get your writing done every day.
Make sure that the time of day when your brain is the most active and most powerful, when you're at the height of your mental capacity, maybe that's an hour after you've had your first cup of coffee.
First thing in the morning, you get a cup of coffee and you sit down to write for 2 hours.
I never forgot Dave's model. I never forgot that Dave had proven to me that I could write about things that I cared about, that I could write about things that actually mattered to me, that I could think about touching that bigger project about the free society, and that I could make a way for myself through the academy with integrity to the ideas that I really cared about. So by his example, he showed me that possibility.
You're winning as a writer when your readers are winning, when you're sending them away with something that makes them better off, with an idea they didn't have before. And I think one thing that's really underestimated is that a mentor has to think about how his or her graduate students can help each other. They are supposed to be a community. They are supposed to be each other's best friends for decades to come.
One question I learned from Dave was to think about how does his mentorship translate to my own mentorship of others?
And then I saw the chemistry between Chris as a first-year student and Jay Brennan as a fourth-year student.
The first class I took with Dave was a course on the nature of moral theory, and I took that my first semester as a graduate student. So taking his classes, I thought, he's exactly the sort of professor that I want to work with, the sort of person that I want to work with.
What Dave cared about was that you were an independent thinker. And that meant that when you found a debate, you didn't necessarily accept the terms of the debate.
In a way, it's like parenting. Mentoring is like parenting. And so what do you want? You want those kids to leave home. So you want them to have their own lives to live. So you've got to see that they have a fire in their belly to go beyond you. And if they're going to make you proud, the way to do it is to be themselves.
And Dave, in his quiet way, and largely by his own example, he had a tendency to call people to that, to call our attention to the fact that it wasn't just the exam you're facing, it wasn't just the term paper you need to write, it wasn't just getting your PhD, it wasn't just getting a job. Those are all the difficult things. It was trying to be part of this conversation. And you think of yourself as contributing to a conversation, it's like the advice about not thinking of yourself as a graduate student.
And I tell this to students who are entering graduate school, which is think of yourself at that point, not so much as a student, but more as a young professional or a pre-professor, and treat your classes, treat your projects accordingly. So think of yourself as a future colleague of professors rather than a student.
When I say conduct yourself like a professor, this is not hypothetical. It's not a metaphor. It's real.
It's saying to a person, be the philosopher, be a person who is actually active in these debates. Move the ball forward yourself. Take that responsibility. And that's something Dave was really remarkable about.
But also the support that he gave me and, nurturing my research interests, being supportive of my research interests, helping me get connected to IHS, which in turn helped me with my career in various sorts of ways.
It's not just like where I ended up, but how quickly I ended up there is a lot of like his doing. So, I mean, in part because Dave really helped me see like what he showed what it was like to be a professional philosopher. How can you have a proper work-life balance?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say my career would be much different, much worse, were it not for Dave.